Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Best of 2020, 2021, and 2022. This video shows a man playing Dance Dance Revolution being unknowingly recorded by some people making fun of him. The man, Adam Lanza, 6 months later would shoot his mother in the head while she was asleep and drive to Sandy Hook Elementary School, where he would murder 6 adults and 20 children between the ages of 6 and 7. In the 1960s, scientists attempted to teach dolphins English. However, the experiments were cut short when one of the scientists, Margaret Lavatt, was caught having sex with a dolphin named Peter. She even claimed that Peter initiated it, and after she left, he killed himself. In the 18th century, you could actually bring your cat or dog to the London Zoo and pay your admission by feeding it to the lions. This photo shows 8-month-old Xiao Bao, who is lucky to be alive because his mother stabbed him 80 times after he bit her while she was breastfeeding him. A 46-year-old man found and attacked a 13-year-old boy because he was killing him too many times in a game of Call of Duty. There have been countless cases of people's intestines being sucked out by vacuum toilets on airplanes. So if you want to keep your rectum, be sure to stand up before you flush. A man once donated his recently deceased mother's body for scientific research. Later, he discovered the research facility sold it to the US Army for $5 grand, strapped it to a chair, and blew it up with explosives. There are some Native Americans that sided with the Confederates during the Civil War, and some of them even owned slaves. On New Year's Day, this guy was drunk driving with his friends when they ended up killing 2 people. He then posted this video destroying the memorials of the people they killed and posted it to Twitter, all because his murderer friends were thrown into jail. Yuroko Onaja was in the middle of having sex with his 6th wife when his other wives caught him and became jealous. They forced him to do it with each of them, and he stopped breathing before he could get to the 5th wife. You know that moment when you're about to fall asleep and suddenly you flinch because you feel like you're falling? This is actually known as a hypnic jerk, and it alerts your body that you're dying, or at least thinks that it's dying. This is former NBA player Mark Jackson's basketball card. In the background are the Menendez brothers. They're sitting courtside shortly after killing their parents and just before getting arrested. Right now, at this very moment, there are tiny little bugs munching on your skin. More people have tapeworms than have dogs, which I guess makes them the most popular pet. Oh yeah, and this is what they look like up close. You know how every few pistachios there's always one that tastes a little bit different? Well, it's because there's a dead navel orange worm inside of it. Every single day, someone takes the largest shit in the world and they have no idea that it was them. If you're ever eating crickets, make sure to chew them thoroughly and do not swallow them alive. They have tiny spines on their legs which can cling to your throat and choke you to death. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Kayla Posey, who you might recognize from this gif from the show Toddlers and Tiaras, went to her prom this past weekend and took her own life just a few hours later. The dinosaurs in Jurassic Park were not animated. Most of them were just actors in costumes. This photo shows Ismail Hadi, a homeless man from Yemen known for feeding stray dogs. One morning he was found dead, with the dogs refusing to leave his side. A new device in South Africa called Rapex resembles a tube with barbs inside that is inserted like a tampon to prevent sexual assault. Any man who attempts an unconsentful act will be impaled by its teeth and sent to the ER. This 7-year-old girl is the only person in the world with diagnosed chromosome 6 deletion, meaning that she doesn't feel pain, hunger, or the need to sleep. In 2016, she was hit by a car, dragged nearly 100 feet, and felt absolutely nothing. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 36. Babies bounce. Their bones are so soft that instead of thudding, they actually bounce a little. An Arizona man named Paul Menchaca was arrested after he faked having Down syndrome and hired female caregivers to bathe him and change his dirty diapers. Kids under 5 years old will often try to hide from a fire instead of running, and firefighters find the bodies. Jacqueline Durand was hired to dog sit for a pit bull and German shepherd and was told that they would be in their kennels. However, when she arrived, the dogs immediately attacked her, leaving her with over 800 bite marks and severe blood loss. If you want to sell your organs on the dark web, you'll get the most money for your small intestine, worth about $800,000. This sketch shows the autopsy report of Kobe Bryant after he died in a helicopter crash in 2020. If you look closely, you can see they noted a crown tattoo on Kobe's shoulder. Makes the whole thing a lot more real.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 1. When creating the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, they couldn't create skeletons that looked realistic enough, so they used real human skeletons. Since then, they've removed all but one. Ducks sometimes become cannibals due to boredom, meaning they kill and eat each other. This behavior begins as early as 4 weeks old. Crocodiles are capable of galloping, similar to a horse. Luckily, alligators cannot. And while we're at it, tarantulas can swim. It's extremely common after you die that there will be extreme gas buildup and you will burp after death. And sometimes dead bodies can even sit up on their own. Also, if a pregnant woman dies, the gas buildup in her body can actually forcefully push a baby out. In other words, a post-mortem baby bazooka. Hearing is the last bodily function to go after one dies, so it's very possible that the last thing you ever hear is the paramedic calling off your CPR. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 21. This photo shows 8-month-old Zhao Bao who was lucky to be alive because his mother stabbed him 90 times after he bit her while she was breastfeeding him. The world's scariest haunted house, McCamey Manor, requires you to sign a 40-page waiver and undergo a physical and mental evaluation. If you manage to make it through the house, you could win $20,000, but to this day, no one has ever made it through. The little girl who voiced Ducky in The Land Before Time was shot to death by her father, who then committed suicide. Roman Emperor Nero had a boy castrated, dressed him up as a bride, and married him, all because the boy looked similar to his previous dead wife. A 46-year-old man found and attacked a 13-year-old boy because the kid was killing him too many times in a game of Call of Duty. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 22. In the 18th century, you could bring your cat or dog to the London Zoo and actually pay your admission by feeding it to the lions. Bus seats are specifically designed so you can't tell how dirty they really are. When an octopus reproduces, it removes its penis and throws it at the female so she can impregnate herself, and then he grows back another one. Oysters are actually alive when they're served. They don't die until you eat them. In Australia, there's a plant called the gimbi gimbi, which has such a severe sting that when horses brush up against it, they actually throw themselves off a cliff because they would rather die than experience the pain. Live chat support agents can see what you type before they send it so they can reply quicker. Spider rain, yes, you heard me right, is a real and naturally occurring phenomenon. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 6. A scorpion can hold its breath underwater for 6 days. So drowning one is not going to save you. Bee testicles explode when they finish, and then they die. In other words, they end their life with a bang. The human anus can stretch up to 7 inches without tearing, and a raccoon can fit into spaces as tight as 4 inches, meaning you could fit almost 2 full-sized raccoons up your ass. Kangaroos have 3 vaginas. There have been quite a few cases of men who decided to take a piss off the ledge of the Grand Canyon only to lose their balance and fall to their death. When you smell anything, the particles of that thing are actually going inside of your nose. So when you smell a fart, microscopic poop particles are going inside of your nose. Your body produces a cancerous cell every 30 minutes. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 12. When a person is electrocuted via electric chair, they feel absolutely everything. They're completely aware of their body being deep fried in real time. And one person who survived the first round of electrocution said it tasted like cold peanut butter. As you're watching this video, your internal organs are constantly moving around inside you. Your armpit is where most of your important nerves in your arms are, so if you stab it, it will leave your arm completely useless. Ted Bundy, the serial killer, used to work at a suicide hotline. Scaphism was a form of ancient torture where someone's body was tied between 2 boats and they were covered in milk and honey, and bugs and other animals would feast on their body for days. Cotard's delusion is a rare condition where people literally think they're dead, and many of them ask to be taken to a cemetery to be with other dead people. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 10. The chemical weapon sarin gas works by not allowing your body's muscles to relax, so they can constrict but are unable to release, causing every single part of your body to cramp until you suffocate to death. Up until the 1800s, dentures were primarily made by the teeth of dead soldiers. Speaking of teeth, babies' adult teeth are located right below their eyeballs. There was a Roman form of torture known as goat's lick, where a person's feet were soaked in salt water and the goat would lick their feet until their flesh was gone. Most serial killers are born in November. When a woman with breast implants is cremated, her implants will melt and drip to the bottom of the furnace. A man was once discovered to have a fir tree growing inside of his body. The doctors thought it was a tumor, but they soon discovered he had inhaled a fir tree seed and it had sprouted and grown inside of his lungs. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 5. Despite if you're using incognito mode, Wi-Fi routers actually keep logs of what websites you visit, and the owner of the router can check this whenever they want. So hopefully you don't have anything to hide. A woman in Russia had a shit ton of twins, triplets, and quadruplets with the same man, totaling to 69 children. Nice. Tarantulas taste like shrimp. According to some cannibals, the most delicious part of the human body is the eyeball, and they especially like licking them. The skin on your lips is the same skin that's on your butthole. Dolphins sometimes bite off the head of a fish and masturbate into the decapitated body. A bubble caused by false vacuum decay could be growing through our universe right now, destroying everything it touches, and we would have no idea because it travels at the speed of light. 2020, please no. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 3. The first firefighter killed in 9/11 attacks was struck dead by a falling body in the courtyard. One of them was killed on his way in, and the other was killed on his way out. Right now, there are tiny little bugs on your face munching on your dead skin. Your bones are wet. If you don't have kids, you will break an unbroken line of children that has gone on for tens of millions of years. A scientist studying death asked a man who was about to be executed by a guillotine if he would blink after his head was chopped off. He ended up blinking for 30 seconds. Most laugh tracks for TV shows were recorded in the early 1950s, meaning that you hear dead people laugh. If you're attacked by a bear, it won't try to kill you like other predators. Instead, it'll just start eating you. One day, someone will mention you for the last time, then they'll never ever mention you again. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 4. The reason your dog likes squeaky toys so much is because the squeak reminds them of small animals dying. Every day, one person takes the biggest shit in the world and they have no idea it was them. The entire universe outside of our galaxy could have disappeared over 20,000 years ago. This is because our view of the universe is what it looked like thousands to billions of years ago. Some tumors can contain pockets of hair and teeth and grow complex organs such as eyes, feet, and hands. There are at least 92 nuclear weapons in the world that are known to be missing. Brain aneurysms can happen whenever, wherever. Polar bears are thought to be some of the only animals that actively hunt humans. You can think about wanting to move your hand and it won't move, but when you want to move your hand, it moves. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 16. Kangaroos are absolutely terrifying, and if you mess with one, it will likely lure you into the water and attempt to drown you. There's an abandoned Disney park that you aren't allowed to go to, and it was shut down in 1999 because it was infested with free-roaming alligators. The animals were being abused, and an 11-year-old boy died from a flesh-eating bacteria found in the park's waters. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the lion's costume was made out of a real skinned lion. This is the John Lawson house. No one knows who lives there, but every single day, there are several female mannequins sitting on the front porch wearing a variety of clothing. Their positions and outfits change daily, and many believe this is meant to convey some sort of message. And in 1871, a train crash took place just 200 feet away from the home, killing 22 people. And these mannequins are always pointing toward the crash. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 15. When penguins can't find love, they waddle off to die alone. Former US politician stated that House of Cards is one of the most accurate depictions of American politics that he's ever seen. Deer like to lay on decaying corpses because they produce heat and they like the way it feels against their body. Basically, deer treat corpses like their own personal sauna. When a barcode is scanned, it's actually scanning the white parts of the code. You may never know if you've gone insane. And you could be bleeding internally right now and not even know it until it's too late. Since 2012, the US military has lost more soldiers to suicide than to combat or other accidents. When you begin to realize just how dangerous escalators are, it is shocking that they still exist. And if you get caught in one, your chances of survival are almost zero. When Tarsiers get too stressed out, they commit suicide by repeatedly banging their heads against a tree. Surgery predates anesthesia.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 7. A man was working outside when a fly flew into his eye for a split second and laid eggs. When they began to hatch, they started eating his eye from the inside, and he began to go blind. The Magnapenis squids are a group of rarely seen sea creatures that live 4,000 feet below the surface of the ocean and are believed to grow up to 27 feet long. 20% of young children report hearing voices. The average person only sees 5,000 movies in their lifetime, and Netflix has over 7,000 movies. So if you want to know which ones to watch, there's this really great app, click link in my bio. Even if you follow the 5-second rule, tiny insects can crawl on your food and you'll eat them without knowing. For the role of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, actress Judy Garland was forced to live on a diet of coffee, soup, and 80 cigarettes a day. And the actors who played the Munchkins groped and molested her, and she was even slapped by the director for laughing during a scene.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 14. There was a woman in the 18th century named Mary Toft who shoved dead rabbits inside of her and later acted as if she gave birth to them. And the doctors actually believed her until one of them discovered corn inside one of the rabbits' stomachs. More people have tapeworms than have dogs, which I guess makes them the most popular pet. Oh yeah, and this is what it looks like up close. So you know how every few pistachios you eat, there's always one that tastes a little bit different? Well yeah, it's because there's a dead navel orange worm inside of it. An octopus's penis is actually one of its tentacles, so if you ever got to pet one at SeaWorld, you might have just groped the damn thing. Dying from starvation is because your body used all of its resources in order to feed your brain. And as a last resort, it begins to digest the muscle around your most vital organs until all that's left is your heart. So you die by eating your heart. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 19. Facebook was forced to shut down 2 artificial intelligence robots named Alice and Bob because they started communicating with one another in their own language. If you ever win the lottery, you're 120 times more likely to be killed by an immediate family member. A sloth has nipples in its armpits. In the 17th century, there was a man named Tare who could eat his entire body weight in just one sitting. And despite being pretty skinny, he would swallow live animals, eat human corpses, and was even accused of eating the body of a 3-year-old toddler. An 11-year-old boy named Konarak escaped Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment but was later returned to Dahmer by police, and he killed the boy just 30 minutes after. It's commonly believed in religion that angels look like this, but according to the Bible, they actually look like this. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 18. A man from Queens once spent 5 months in jail completely unaware that his bail was just $2. Since spiders molt, when you see what you might think is a dead spider, it could just be that the spider left behind its exoskeleton and is now bigger than before. Dr. Seuss cheated on his wife while she had cancer, and then she proceeded to commit suicide. Almost everyone on Earth is walking around with a bunch of poop inside of them. Scientists accidentally killed the world's oldest living animal, which was a clam that lived to be 507 years old. Statistically speaking, at least one person who comments on this video will not be alive tomorrow. The real reason you shouldn't eat raw cookie dough isn't because of getting sick from eating raw eggs. It's because you shouldn't eat raw flour, which contains fecal matter from all the birds flying over the field and pooping on the wheat. Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 13. Hundreds of thousands of bodies have either been lost or buried at sea, so every time you swim in the ocean, you're basically bathing in a graveyard. Chainsaws were originally invented for childbirth. Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always decomposed more than the male ones, and this is because the male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner while the female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose a little bit. And this was to prevent people from having sex with the dead female bodies. Vlad the Impaler was called this because he would place his enemies ass first on pointed poles that would slowly skewer them to death. Fatal familial insomnia is a disease where a person literally cannot go to sleep no matter what they take or what they do. The symptoms get progressively worse until they die of exhaustion. And for the last one, you might want to look up who invented blow-up dolls.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, part 17. There's an 8-year-old boy named Amarjit Sada who became the world's youngest serial killer after murdering his 6-year-old cousin, his baby sister, and a neighbor's newborn daughter. The CIA has a legitimate heart attack gun, and it was exposed to the public in the late 1970s. Project Sunshine was research conducted by the US government in which, after the atomic bombings on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, a network of agents was recruited to locate recently deceased children and steal their body parts for testing on radiation. Both the US and Russia used dolphins and whales to spy on various countries. The FBI sent an anonymous letter to Martin Luther King Jr. telling him to kill himself. It reads, "King, there is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is." Guys, I just released my first YouTube video. I'm sure you'll love it. Link in bio.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 26. Atoms are 99% nothing, which makes us 99% nothing as well. Also, if you come in contact with someone or something, you're not actually touching them. You're simply sensing the repulsion between your atoms and theirs. You can get bed bugs from movie theater seats. In 1386, a French pig was publicly executed for the murder of a child. The pig was given full legal representation and provided human clothes for the trial. A 7-year-old South African girl is more likely to be raped than to receive an education. In the 1950s, many babies in orphanages didn't cry very often because they knew their cries wouldn't be answered. Hans Langseth, the man with the longest beard in history, died when he tripped over it and cracked his neck. The maximum prison sentence in Brazil is 30 years, meaning that mass murderers like Pedro Rodrigues Filho, who killed over 100 people, are walking free today.